and welcome to Coffee and, the longest-running panel discussion show in American radio. To make a comment or ask a question of the panel, call 401-766-1240 or email coffee@woonsocketradio.com. And now, let's join the Coffee and panel.
And it's Coffee In here on ON, AM, and FM. Thanks for joining us Wednesday morning, January the 22nd, with the very cold temperatures. This is Joe Callahan. Thanks for joining us. And this is Melissa Smith. Hi, Melissa.
Good morning.
From the San Antonio Communities. Tim Draper from Navigant.
Here I am.
Hi there. And John Ward is joining us as well. Good morning.
Good morning, everyone.
And what's the temperature in Siberia?
20 degrees.
20? It's warmer?
It is.
What? Time to go.
See what happens when you retire? You start monitoring the temperature in other
In
countries.
Siberia.
And you're fascinated by
I've
it,
been
too.
doing this for quite some time, actually. I like it. It's just humorous to me. It's that
That
you see,
it's warmer
colder.
there than it is here.
Siberia is 50 degrees, and the capital of Greenland is 22 degrees.
Oh, well, all right.
Socket
There we go.
is -2.
We've got
Yeah, well, we got the
Three.
feel like,
Right.
which
We're-
is minus 11.
Well,
We're up
see,
to three.
the reason I always discovered this was when it first was heard that when I first heard we were in the middle of a polar vortex,
vortex,
some years
yeah.
ago,
Oh, yeah.
and that the temperature in Anchorage was in the 20s, and we were at like -5.
Yeah.
And so I thought, well, I figured that must work because of the way the jet stream flows, and so it's coming down east of Alaska, so the warm air is up higher in Alaska, and then the same thing happens on the east coast where it comes up, and so Greenland is getting warm air while we're getting really cold air. And then I realized that polar vortex that comes off the cold mass that comes off the Arctic region, when it's moving down towards us, it's moving away from Siberia.
Oh, yeah.
So when we have a polar vortex, they're getting
They
warm
don't.
weather
Yeah, okay.
because it's, as
22
it's pushing
degrees.
it down one way, it's pulling it up the other.
Sounds like
So,
physics.
It is.
It's a little
Oh,
physics.
physics. Okay.
That's it's just one of those circumstances that with airflow that as you move the air around, wherever you don't have cold, you have warm.
warm.
It
All
does
right.
feel strange that down south right now is getting more snow than we've had all season. I
Bourbon
just feel
Street.
like we're going to have to ship down our plows.
Big,
I-
big,
I-
it's
yeah.
insane.
last year, we got very little snow.
Very.
My son in Northern Virginia, they had several snowstorms and got total probably 30 inches of snow
Wow.
up in the D.C. area.
Wow.
We got almost nothing.
All right, Melissa, it's time for a first message from the San Antonio communities, please.
Okay, where we have a lot of snow on our property.
I bet you
Beautiful,
do.
picturesque snow on our 30, 40 acres of land. So for those of you that aren't familiar with St. Antoine Community, we are a large long-term care campus located in North Smithfield, but we're right on the border of Blackstone and Woonsocket. On our property, we offer a full continuum of services from assisted living to short and long-term skilled care. We have a state-of-the-art rehab facility, and we have 2 levels of memory care on our property. So if you are interested in learning more about the process for admitting a loved one into our community, or even just about planning in advance for a rehab stay, feel free to reach out to me. I'd be happy to walk you through your options. You can reach me at 401-767-3500 or email me at msmith@santantoine.net.
All right, Melissa, thank you very much. And considering that how much snow they're getting down south, we had it on our national news yesterday. They was talking with the mayor of New Orleans. He goes, "We're not a snow city. We don't have any plows. We don't have any shovels. We've got no salt spreaders. We've got nothing."
Right.
I
I'm
did
surprised
find
they
it-
had jackets.
They had a guy on the news showing him doing cross-country skiing down the middle of Bourbon Street, and I thought to
Wow.
myself, like, why do
Someone
you
from the
have
Northeast.
those, right? So I
Why
mean,
do you
every
have
time
skis?
right, like you're owning skis, you're someone who lives down in that
Might-
area, and you have
might-
skis in your own.
Might have been water skis.
No, it was full blown. Not. I didn't think to really look, but he had all the gear
Probably
on. He
one
had
of
the
those guys that
goggles and
goes up north. He
everything.
probably goes up north every year.
I don't
Colorado or
know,
something.
right? So I mean, that
But I
was
thought about
interesting.
that, John. What let's say you're on the city council in New Orleans, and someone brought up, we need $100,000 to buy a snowplow.
No.
That's right. They're going to say no.
Well, I think about
We haven't had snow in 15 years. Why do we need
my
a
son
snowplow?
living in Virginia Beach about 4 or 5 years ago. They had 3 years ago. They had a 12-inch snowstorm that hit there, and their city is not equipped. They have, I believe he said, 3 plows. They go out and they do the main roads, and they don't even do the side streets
You're on your
at
own.
all.
Yeah.
You're on your own. And basically what he did was spent 4 days following the tire tracks of whoever's pickup
Behind
truck
him.
made it down the road.
Yeah.
And they just wait for it to melt.
Now, how are? Cause the first thing I thought about, even if they had plows down there, who knows how to work this thing? What about in Virginia? Any idea? Do they know what they're doing?
Well, up in Northern Virginia they do, but
Okay.
they don't salt the roads. They
Okay.
they plow.
Yeah.
And as my daughter-in-law posted them playing ice hockey on the street because it was a sheet of ice. And so there's no salt getting put down. There's plows. They'll come plow the snow, but the ice they don't deal with.
Is
They
there
just- again, they
asphalt
wait
like
for the
a
sun to come
different?
out.
Is there asphalt tolerable of salt? Like, could they even? I mean, I don't know. Is
no
it something
asphalt,
different?
No asphalt tolerates salt well. That's why we have potholes up here.
I don't know. What do they have down there? Like, just wondering
Nothing.
too. Nothing.
Out in Colorado, when I visited a friend out in Durango, they use cinders.
John's so important.
They just
Phone's
use
still ringing.
they just use cinders on the road and lay it out there, and that's your traction. So they don't go to melt the snow.
I did
snow
see.
tires,
I did see
chains.
something funny in terms of all the snow that we get in New Orleans. It's time to put the snow tires on in New Orleans, and it was all the beads that they throw at
I
Mardi
saw
Gras.
that. Yeah.
Yellow, purple, red.
It'd be perfect. That's
I
all you
said,
need.
That's you can use those. They won't last very long,
No.
but there you go. All right. Did you catch? Did you watch or listen to the inauguration speech from Donald Trump? Anyone?
rally
Bueller?
Yes.
So we're not avoiding
The
politics
rally
this
speech?
morning.
No,
I-
we're in the middle
Okay.
of this.
I came in and I was
I'm
like,
feeling
can we
tickled.
just?
I gotta go.
You didn't think this was going to be anything but Trump this morning.
Well, just because it happened so
There's
soon.
other
And
things happening in
and-
this
and
world.
only because
know.
he said what he said, and he said he was going to sign a bunch of executive orders, and he did. And now people are, we're going to have lawsuits against him. We're going to put a stop to this. And John just said the police and the prison in Washington D.C. doesn't want to let out the January 6th people.
Correct.
What?
They got to
Under
force them to.
under whose direction?
I don't know.
Well, I don't know if you
It's
said what it said.
I mean, I the one thing I regret not predicting on this show.
Yeah.
And I was tempted. I really wanted to last week. It was right at the edge, and I kept my mouth shut. I wonder when Joe Biden's going to pardon the rest of his family.
Oh, you would have been
After the
spot
Hunter
on.
thing, and after he did all of those commutations from the death sentence for the however many thousand people he did, my mind just went to he's gonna do it for his family.
And it was everybody in his
And
family.
then he did it for the J6 committee. He did it for his family. He did it for Milne. He did it for Fauci.
Yeah.
Fauci, to me, is the worst.
Uh-huh.
Fauci, there's evidence he lied to Congress straight up. And I just, it's the hypocrisy of the whole system is that, he did that, which is, I'm not even sure that preemptive pardons are valid. Because there's a presumption, you have to have a presumption of a crime having been committed in order to do something like that. But it's ironic how all the videos are out now of all of the talking heads in the liberal media on cable stations ranting about Trump possibly preemptively pardoning people. And what a terrible idea. No, you don't do that. No, of course you wouldn't do that for your family, blah, 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 blah. And they went on and on and on. 4 years ago. Even Biden was on saying, no, you don't do that. And then 4 years later, here we are.
Yeah.
Pardon the family. And it's just, to me, it's evidence of the universal hypocrisy of the D.C. culture.
To do that, to change that rule, is that a constitutional
It is.
privilege of the chief executive?
It's a privilege, and it's. I read the constitutional section that allows for it, and it's unnerving in how vague it is, so that it can be interpreted that way, and it would require a Supreme Court decision. It would have to be challenged. The Supreme Court would have to weigh in on it at some point and decide whether or not you could preemptively pardon somebody. But I think actually Gerald Ford may have started it when he pardoned Nixon before he was indicted.
Right.
Oh, that's a good point.
For anything you may or may not have done.
Nixon was a preemptive pardon.
Right.
He was never formally charged with a crime.
Huh.
And so he was pardoned, and I think that set the standard for a preemptive pardon.
The question, I brought it up yesterday, we didn't have the answer. John, maybe you know. So these pardons are on the federal level.
Yes,
Can
they can all
can
be tried
states
if
still
there
go
are
after
state
them?
statutes that have been violated, just like Donald Trump could not get out of trouble
That
in
thing
the
in
New
New
York
York,
case.
okay.
he can't. Even if he was sent to prison, he could not have pardoned himself when he became president again.
So if Virginia
Because
wanted to
it's a
go
state
after
charge.
Hunter
If
Biden,
Virginia
they
wants to
could.
go after him. Yes.
Okay, so
Virginia,
I did read that
Jersey.
correctly.
The problem is most of Hunter Biden's issues. A lot of it has to do with the whether it's foreign corrupt practices or acting as an agent for
And that's federal?
with foreign, whatever that federal statute is. A lot of his work was IRS issues and foreign corruption issues. So there's not a lot of state statutes I think you'd have with them,
Okay.
or with Milne, or with Fauci.
All right, well, we'll see where these fun lawsuits go, and we'll see what's going on there with the prison down in Washington.
But the one
saying
thing
we're
I
not letting
did
you out.
predict, the one thing I did predict when he
Right,
said
right.
I'm going to do all of these executive orders,
Right.
it's like, yeah, that's not going to go very fast. And sure enough, within 24 hours,
The lawsuits are.
they're all in court.
I mean, yeah.
The lawsuits will be.
But he delivered a promise that he said,
He said he was gonna
delivered
do
his
it.
promises. Whether they ever materialize to actually going to happen or not, it's another question.
Well,
But
that's
he
always
did-
the question. Right. But the excitement dies down quickly
Yeah.
once the petitions are filed in court.
All right.
Let's talk about Melania's hat.
Oh, I was just going to bring that up.
Oh,
I thought Melissa would want to talk about that.
I love how I get pegged with all like the,
Well, you're the girl.
No, they weren't. It wasn't
female,
political.
women
no, no, it wasn't a
related.
political question. It was nothing about politics.
I don't care to talk about fashion.
Oh, all right.
Lots of other things. But
How about
if
Mike
you
Vrabel?
want to talk about the rim, what did you say?
How about Mike Vrabel? And Josh McDaniels coming back.
All right.
I just briefly on the Melania hat. You know what that led to instantly yesterday? In certain aspects of the day, they were using a body double. That's why you couldn't see her face completely, so that they could use a body double for Melania. I'm thinking, why would they even do that?
She didn't change height.
But that was right up
Her
there
feet
with
hurt.
the other one, which is when Elon Musk, who is socially somewhat inept,
Awkward?
Okay.
He's on the spectrum.
Please don't
He
say
admits
it.
it.
So when
Hitler-
he says,
Is Hitler salute?
"Thank you very much, my heart goes out to you,"
Yeah.
and
It's
there's
a
the
salute.
picture.
No, I know. I saw
And
it.
my mind, my head brain almost blew out of my head because it's everywhere. And then when you explain, listen to the clip. He says, "My heart," and he uses his
and he
hand
grabbed
up
it,
here,
yeah.
goes out to you, and then he turns around, he does it to the audience behind him, and it's like, are you people morons?
Well, they wanted
But
to
they're
be
not.
Like that.
They're strategically
Doing it on
painting him
purpose.
as a Nazi.
Yeah.
And yet everybody's posting the pictures of Hillary Clinton doing this
I
to
saw
the
that
crowd,
too,
and
yeah.
waving to a crowd over there, and it's like they're morons, and they can't help. And I did intentionally watch MSNBC,
To see how they present it.
CNN, see how they, and immediately all day yesterday, start to finish, ignoring Biden's pardons of criminals,
Yeah.
and all the things he pardoned that were so awful,
It's just
and
the-
the things he did.
just the
No,
salute.
doesn't matter.
Can I-
1,500 J6 people were pardoned. Donald Trump's evil. They're
Go-
criminals.
go.
No, I
Melissa.
don't need to go. I'm good.
You sure?
Yep, I'm gonna sip my tea.
Did you like Melania's hat?
No,
Okay. Were you surprised that Baron Trump is 7'5"?
no.
Sorry, 6'7".
That kid is tall.
I couldn't
I
believe
think
it.
they said he's
Yeah.
6'7" or 8.
Yeah, he's. And I just wondered, is he playing basketball for NYU?
Well, I don't know. Who knows?
I don't know.
Can I just flip the coin because I'm gonna open my mouth for 1
ahead.
minute. I'm just gonna flip the coin for 1 second,
Go ahead.
and I don't like to go into politics. Everyone knows that about me, but there was a part of me watching this speech at the inauguration, also from our now President Trump, and I felt very disappointed in him that he had to go down the path again and reference the last election and the fact that it was a hoax, and he tied all that in. And I just don't think that was necessary. And I don't care what side you're on.
It's not.
Everyone knows that the election was what it was. The fact that he's still calling it,
It's 20
maybe you
it was
don't
5
believe
years ago.
that. I don't know, John, but we've already been through those 4 years. It's in the past.
Yeah.
But to keep bringing and regurgitating, it makes it look like that's what's still fueling all of his very erratic decisions. And so that people that, like myself, are sitting there saying, this is why I struggle with you, because you can't let go of the past and you can't let go of that rhetoric. Let's move on. If you've been elected in this election for a new agenda and a new, focus for the next 4 years.
It's a new era.
It's a new era. Then let's focus on that. Stop bringing that stuff up and stop going on and babble for the hour, 2 hours or so unnecessarily when I want to hear you talk about what are you doing now? Because I know you probably have a lot to say and I have a lot more to say, but I don't want to go there.
All right.
It's just that it goes both ways, John. It just feels very
I'm going to keep it simple.
okay. You're going to defend that?
I don't mean to criticize your point of view because it's right. What I'm concerned with is your misinterpretation of my beliefs. Gross misinterpretation of my beliefs. If you think when I criticize MSNBC and CNN and the hypocrisy of Hunter Biden, the Joe Biden pardons and the Donald Trump pardons, to think that that means that I'm presumptively a big Trump supporter is completely wrong. I agree with you. And the best description I heard of his inaugural speech was it was a combination of a State of the State address and a stump speech. It had nothing to do with inauguration.
Right.
That is a perfect way to put it.
It was an awful speech.
Yeah.
It was harsh towards the outgoing administration, which is not your job. And that
sit there and
speech,
listen
your
to it.
job is to talk about your vision for the future without criticizing the past. It is simply to say, this is what I look forward to doing to make things what I believe to be better for the nation.
Well, and I agree with you on
And
that. It
he's-
just felt like that little droplet of that pipe. We keep hearing about bipartisanship and wanting to work together. It's like, okay, well, you're contradicting that completely
It's just as
when
phony
you
as
go
Joe
on that.
Biden's bringing the world, the country together.
Right.
It's
That's all I
just-
wanted to do was just balance that a little bit and say there's a lot more that could be
It was an
put
awful,
on this.
It was an awful speech, and some of his executive orders are simply keeping promises that he knows aren't going to survive.
Right.
There's things that he has no jurisdiction over that he's making executive orders on that are going to be challenged and are already being challenged, which is why I said my criticism is actually about the media.
All right, we're going to take a break here on the Coffee and program. Things are moving right along. And Melissa, it is time for a second message from the St. Antoine communities.
I will just kind of talk a little bit about what I've mentioned the last few weeks on the air. This being that time of year where yes, it's cold. We're in a deep freeze. There's snow. There's a threat of a big blizzard, and then we only got a few inches. But nonetheless, it was still this threat of this looming snowstorm, and a lot of families of seniors or seniors themselves reached out to us because I think panic sets in. Month of December is busy in and all of itself just because of the holidays and families going to visit loved ones and seeing how things have changed at home. But now that we're officially into winter and we're past the holidays, that next tier of loneliness and isolation and limited access to resources when you're living at home by yourself and how am I going to shovel myself out really does prompt a whole new flood of calls into St. Antoine community looking for advice and guidance on how to secure a spot or move into our assisted living. So if you are interested in learning more and understanding what kind of our wait list looks like right now, because we are at capacity, I'd be happy to give you more information about that. You can reach me at 401-767-3500 or email me at msmith@santantoine.net.
All right, thanks, Melissa. And the Coffee and program will continue. You can call in your comments and questions at 766-1240. We have a note to get to, and we will when we come back.
Krakow Deli Bakery Smokehouse offers authentic homemade Polish food to make your next meal special. Try our many varieties of hot and fresh pierogies with onions and what they call dirty sour cream. Or pick up golubki, kielbasa, babkas, or some fresh rye bread. We also offer a large selection of specialty and imported foods. Open Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays, 9 in the morning till 6 p.m., Wednesdays, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., Saturdays from 8 to 5 p.m. It's Krakow Deli Bakery Smokehouse. Follow us on Facebook and learn about our weekly specials. Located at 855 Social Street, Woonsocket, Krakow Deli Bakery Smokehouse has all the authentic Polish foods you love.
The Coffee and panel is enjoying coffee from Down East Coffee Roasters. All their coffee is roasted right here in Rhode Island. Down East Coffee Roasters is available at all Little General stores.
Local and live at 99.5 FM.
It's Coffee In here on ON Radio. Thanks for joining us. Joe Callahan here with John Warden, Tim Draper, and Melissa Smith. We did got a press release in from the Downtown Woonsocket Collaborative. They have announced their officers and the people that are on the board. Let's see if you know any of these people. Returning as the chairperson of the DWC, Garrett Manseri. Really no surprise there. In his first year as vice chair is Mike Warner. Chris Curtis will be, this is her first year as the treasurer, and Sonia Lindsay remains as board secretary. And the other people on the members of the board there, not the elected officials there, but just on the board of the DWC. Rick Barrett, Corey Bryan, Adam Brunetti, Lisa Casafaro, Steve Casey, Deborah Hunt Casey, Christina Fox, Sue Kerwin, David Lawler, Margot Moriso, Emily Haney Sheehan, Brandon Soom, Paul Allen White, Veronica Vega, and Chinara Yen. So they help
I know a few.
Corey Brian.
Did I say it wrong?
You said Brian.
Brian? They spelled it wrong, okay? It's Ian. Got it. All right. We did have a note that was called in, 766-1240. Just John and others if you want to weigh in if you know anything about it. But what do you know about the Postal Service being privatized? I keep hearing that every once in a while, that's going to happen. I'm like,
I heard that 8 years ago when he first got elected.
Yeah.
They were talking about privatizing it. It's hardly the kind of thing that you could easily privatize. Frankly, if they were smart, and maybe they will be at some point.
You mean the Postal Service?
No, the government.
Oh, okay.
Which is asking a lot, I know. But, I've always contended that if they were to try to become more cost efficient, they would split their routes in two, and you would receive mail every other day for regular first-class mail and the junk mail you get. And then they would do packages like the other services do, which they already do. And they may be able to be more cost efficient by not having to have as many carriers. And each carrier would have two routes. One would be his Monday, Wednesday, Friday route. The other would be his Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday route. Mm-hmm. And
your phone's ringing, John.
Lord. And it may save some money, but I don't know that they're capable of becoming more efficient by being privatized without excluding service. And, the thing about government postal service since the beginning has been about universally sending anything you want, anywhere you want, as effectively as possible. Mm-hmm. And that's what they do. And then it's like RIPTA. They don't fund it enough to cover its costs. And then they complain that it's losing money. Yeah. Same thing with the state. They don't put enough money into them doing the job that they demand of them. And then they complain that they're not doing the job that they're demanding of them without enough money.
I don't know if I need mail delivered every day. Most of it's junk anyway. So it's like,
true.
What? Just give it to me every other day. I'd be happy with that.
I just don't know how badly it might affect business. Although business now,
It's
you
all
really
email.
You really can't expect mail
or
to come every
certified
day
mail
or
if you
1 or
need-
2 days
yeah.
anymore.
Almost all bills are electronic now.
Yeah, and
So
if
those
you-
are the urgent ones,
Right.
your timely ones. And otherwise, you're talking Christmas cards. Do people send birthday
So,
cards
I
anymore? I'm
still
not
say
sure.
Some.
Monday, Wednesday,
I do,
Friday, Tuesday,
but-
Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday.
You didn't get my card?
Oh boy.
Yeah, there have been times where I've gone to the mailbox and picked everything out of the mailbox, looked at it, and then walked 20 feet over to the recycling bin, threw it right in.
Yeah.
Well, there's a problem with that. So when you get the flyers and it's got
Yeah.
all the million different flyers in that one package.
Okay.
It used to be coupons now.
Yeah.
Well, the coupons, it used to be like.
Do you mean the
super
Valpak
clips or something.
thing?
No, it's not in an envelope. It's just loose, like newspaper.
Right.
Okay.
Coupons, right?
Okay.
Like a grocery
The
store
problem
flyer with
is
everything stuffed
sometimes,
in.
like important mail
Yeah.
gets
Stuck inside.
gets stuck inside there, and I throw the whole package out without ever looking
I
at
always
it.
have to
Oh, you got to go one by one.
Yeah,
make
I get
sure.
burned on that one time. I'm like, I guess I
throw
got
it
to look
away.
through these things now.
Okay. Well, if you're going to go hiking in the New Hampshire mountains,
Oh, boy.
you really need to be prepared. Especially in the winter
you
time. You need to
should
be
be.
prepared in the summertime. You really should be prepared in the
August,
winter time.
right.
Yeah, but two hikers and one from Cranston, they had to be rescued. They were in Franconia, New Hampshire, getting dark, getting really cold.
Yeah.
We're lost. Luckily, though, they still had their wits about them, and they got out their cell phones and say, "Someone come get us."
Yeah.
'Cause we are. And when these weren't a couple of kids doing this, 33-year-old and a 34-year-old. One from Cranston, one is from Naugatuck, Connecticut. They called for help, and they were getting hypothermic, and the weather conditions were deteriorating. And when they went and they got them, they say the men were not adequately prepared for the day's forecast, which called for rain, sleet, and snow. I'm sure wind up there as well.
Two things. They're not prepared.
Right.
And in the summertime, when you hike those trails, they're nicely marked, and you can see the path where people have walked on them
walking,
because
yeah.
people hike a
winter.
lot. In the wintertime, snow on them. You have no idea where they're. But the tree markings are not necessarily like a road.
As visible.
Right. They're a little bit more difficult to find. So I
Yeah.
certainly can see how you would get lost.
And of course, if you're in the notch, so to speak,
The notch.
Well, they are.
there's no phone signal there.
No.
Well,
Very,
And,
very
and the sun
little.
comes up at 10:30 and goes down at 2:30.
Right.
It's like
Yeah. Not a
not
good
the place to
do
be
that.
in January.
But the good part is that no one died.
Well, that's good.
that's
So
good.
that's good. And
There's the happy ending to that story.
there
But
was
they had a
happy
little
ending.
cell phone battery life.
And yeah,
that
they
was
just-
important too, because that can
rest-
drop in the cold temperatures. And
Right.
I don't think they were actually in the notch. They said, from what I read, they were on some
Somewhere
other
in the area.
popular trail, but at least
But still,
enough.
when you drive through any of that area, the cell phone signals just drop.
And I have talked to people And they say when they come in, okay, we got to wrap this up because I'm losing cell signal in 1 mile.
Yeah.
and it just happens. So, all right. So just be careful if you're going to go hiking in the New Hampshire, Vermont, Maine mountains in the wintertime.
I don't even want to go hiking around the block
In the wintertime.
in January when the weather's like this.
Minus.
No word yet. They had that robbery in Cranston yesterday, which I just think is amusing. At the dry cleaner.
Dry cleaner, yeah.
They stole 5 or 6 coats,
Coats.
but they were worth $10,000.
Yeah, they were probably fur
Have you heard
coats.
of this?
No.
Montclair, this designer, these kind of coats. I haven't heard of it either. but
Montclair?
It's Moncler. Montclair.
One coat was $4,800. I thought the guy said.
Wow.
Yeah, one coat.
Just one. And then he's walking in the surveillance video. He's just walking down the street holding on to the 5 coats. Now, did he know the coats were there? How does he know the coats were
I
there?
would say it seems to me like that's a little bit of an inside job.
It would sound like that.
How do you?
And where do you sell these babies?
How does the average thief know the value of a particular
coats.
kind of coat?
I don't know. So it does sound like
and
an
that they
inside
happen
job.
to be there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
All 5 of them at the same time.
To make it look good, though, we smashed in the door.
To make it look like a random
Right,
robbery.
right.
Oh, well, okay. And there is video of him, and there's a guy walking down the street carrying 5 coats. Now, would that raise any suspicion if you saw someone walking down the street with 5 coats? It really,
Not in weather like
really
right
wouldn't.
now, but
Yeah.
yeah, no.
Summertime? Yeah, smidge.
Well, I just didn't feel like it's time to get your winter coat clean.
I'm
in
handing
the
these out to
summertime.
people on the street who need them, who can't get into Echo Village.
Maybe you are, and they're doesn't. I think they're winter coats.
Yeah.
But I just found it amusing.
I have to say, can we just talk about winter coats for a minute? So I went to Kittery Trading Post over Christmas break or whatever up in Kittery, Maine, if those of you that are
Yeah,
familiar
yeah.
with it. Kind of like what would be the equivalent of it here? Like a Bass Pro Shop or like that
L.O.
matched
Bean.
up with L.O. Bean, let's say.
Yeah.
Trying on winter jackets for my daughter, and she wanted to get a Patagonia, which is, am I saying that right?
Yeah,
Patagonia,
Patagonia.
yeah. And that's fine. And they're a little bit higher cost maybe than like a Columbia, so tiering them out a little bit. But of course, then there's like the Canadian, what the heck are they called? Canadian. It has like Canadian goose feathers in them, but there's like a brand that's like a $6,000 winter jacket, like a down winter jacket. They have all these different tiers of prices. I don't get it. Like around here, you're saying to yourself, like even in Maine, I'm like, do you need that? Like what at what point, even
pay
out of Rhode
for the
Island
brand.
cleaners to have these very expensive jackets, these brands, you just say to yourself, come on, that's just showmanship. I can't tell the difference looking at any of those jackets or putting them on. You know what I mean? You got to be in the Arctic. You got to be like
You're going to be a
out
hiker.
in the middle. You got to be in. We're
is it-
complaining
is it-
about negative 11 wind.
Chill.
Chill right now.
Is
and
it physically that much better? A
I
product?
couldn't tell. I tried it on for fun. I was like, "What does a $6,000 jacket feel like? Let me put this on." And it was very nice.
Did it go with your shorts and boots? That
I
they
was
wear up
really
there?
hot, but everyone knows I get hot easily. But it's just too much. Like it was just. So I guess unless you're.
You could go to Walmart and layer about 4 things and
Yeah.
get the same
Get the
quality
same
of
call.
warmth.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just by
it made us
spending
laugh because we were going to
$30.
Portsmouth, New Hampshire afterwards, and we're walking around Portsmouth, and it was maybe like it was about 5 degrees. It was single digits, dinner on a Saturday night kind of thing, and we passed a lot of people wearing those very expensive jackets, and I just had my cheap little $150, $200 Columbia on, and I'm like perfectly fine.
It's the brand. It's what young people who have the money are doing. Like you've got Patagonia is one of them.
Yep.
Cotopaxi is another one that seems to be really big right now.
Is North Face still a name?
North
But
Face
even
is-
those are all low end
Big,
compared
yeah.
to what this brand is that's becoming popular,
Yeah.
and I was like $6,000 for.
It's insane.
All right.
Anyways,
Yeah, I went to a wine store once when I was visiting another town up north, and when you get the rated wines with the different ratings on them, and you
98
get up
points.
into those higher ratings,
2 points.
and you're looking at the price of the bottle of wine, it's
$10,000?
like, no, it doesn't go that bad,
All
but
right.
you're still talking maybe $200,
Yep.
$300, and it's like, it's wine.
Yeah, that you're going to drink, and if you're lucky, you get 2 glasses for yourself because the people you're with are going to. Drew Bledsoe's wine is $160 a bottle.
Just things I can't justify spending that kind of money on. And even Patagonia. I got a Patagonia. It's like a sweater kind of thing,
Yeah.
a zippered sweater kind of thing. And you think Patagonia, gee, what Patagonia is, it's cold.
Yep.
You're going to get warmth out of this. And I go outside and there's a breeze. Goes right through the
Right through you.
material. And it's like, What kind of crap is this? Oh, it's got a name Patagonia on
That's
it.
right. It's the name.
It's the old joke, with the gold Rolex. Well, I got my Timex. It still says 8:30.
Right.
All right.
It's just, drive a
Sorry, what room?
Lamborghini and
A little
drive
bit.
a Chevy Chevette.
Now
You
we're
got to
going
get
to
where you're going.
Yeah. All right. Break time here on Coffee and time for a look at the forecast, being brought to you by Compassion International.
Sunny skies today, but very cold. Wind chill values down as low as -10, even though the thermometer might get to 20 degrees with a northwest wind. Tonight, cloudy skies, overnight low of 9, calm wind. Thursday, partly sunny and a high near 29. Friday, sunshine and 30. Saturday, sunshine and 29 again. Sunday, partly sunny and a high of 36, first time above freezing in a week. Monday, partly sunny with a high of 36, and on Tuesday, mostly sunny skies, high of 35 with a west wind.
And outside the Navigant Credit Union broadcast studio at the corner of Park Avenue and Kennedy Street, where we do have blue skies and 4 degrees. Imagine a child in extreme poverty waiting over a year to be sponsored. End their wait today. Become a Compassion sponsor. Text radio to 83393.
Integrity, trust, service. 3 words that sum up what you can expect from the Carew Investment Group at 2190 Mendon Road in Cumberland, Rhode Island. Established in 1987, we've been helping local investors to build wealth and guide them through their golden years of retirement using quality stocks of companies that you know, many of which pay quarterly dividends. We also use investment-grade bonds and low-cost exchange-traded funds. To find out more about our services and for a quality conservative approach to investing, call us at 765-8880. Integrity, trust, service. The Carew Investment Group. Securities offered through Bolton Global Capital, member FINRA and SIPC, and advisory services offered through Bolton Global Asset Management, a registered investment advisor.
Hi, this is Pat Holland. Join me and Kevin Callahan live from the cheap seats for all the latest scores and behind-the-scenes stories. We'll bring you the game from a fan's point of view. Saturday mornings at 9 a.m. here on ON, AM, and FM radio.
And it's Coffee In on ON Radio. Thanks for joining us. Joe Callahan here with Melissa Smith and Tim Draper and John Ward. And who did the Patriots hire, Tim?
They hired Terrell Williams from the Detroit Lions. It was their defensive coordinator.
Okay.
So he's coming to the Patriots, apparently, according to this ESPN News broadcast.
Okay.
This
is Josh McDaniels.
Josh McDaniels offensive,
Yep.
Terrell Williams defense, Vrabel head coach,
And special teams?
special teams is Springer.
Oh.
Jeremy Springer, I think is his name.
Is that the guy from the Giants?
I think he might have been.
Okay.
But
All right.
he was with the Patriots.
Oh,
He was
okay,
last
okay.
year's special teams coach. He's the only coach they kept.
Gotcha. All right, so we get the coaches all lined up. Now we're just going to
Now
go
we
get
gotta
the
get
players.
some players.
All right, very good. Tim, time for first message from Navigant Credit Union, please.
Thank you, Joe. Last week we talked a little bit about our cash management services. It's not really new, but it's certainly an enhanced program from Navigant Credit Union, and it's designed for businesses to help with your cash management needs. So everything that you could possibly want to run the business, from collections to mobile remote deposit capture, auto books helping you handle your payment processes, ACH and collections, streamlining transactions with electronic payments, merchant processing, remote deposit capture, and these really cool smart safes that are provided through a partnership we have with Brinks. So if you're interested in any of the cash management services to help run your business, small, medium, or large, give us a call at 233-4700 and ask for someone on the cash management team, or visit us at navigantcu.org.
Well, speaking of the Patriots,
Yeah.
Bob Kraft's other son, not Jonathan,
Yep. Daniel?
Josh,
Oh, Josh.
Kraft, he's planning on running for the mayor of Boston. He's
Really?
currently the Philanthropic Patriots. He's the president of the Philanthropic Patriots Foundation.
Huh.
I don't know what else he's done.
Well, that's a good lead into being in government. Give away money.
Channel 5 up in Boston
Kind of the
has
same thing.
reported an official announcement is expected as soon as early February. If he
Wow.
decides to do this. Michelle Wu, who just had a baby, by the way, if
Yeah.
you remember that, she does plan to run for re-election.
Yep.
So, okay. Doesn't affect any of us.
Doesn't-
Just says good Patriots news.
Crafts are busy.
Yes, they are. So this isn't a good story out of here, out of the Worcester Telegram and Gazette, and it affects the folks in Uxbridge, Massachusetts. But Mass State Police arrested their school superintendent.
Oh.
OUI.
Oh.
They call it OUI in Mass, operating under the influence, as opposed to DWI.
Right.
51-year-old Michael Baldessari was pulled over at 2:40 a.m.
Wow.
on Saturday.
Ouch.
He was on 495 in Bolton, Massachusetts.
Yeah.
And he was Bolton.
Yeah.
Bolton.
He was. He was charged with speeding and marked lane violations, as well as being
must
under
have
the
been.
influence.
Must have been going side to side.
Yep. Released on personal recognizance following his arraignment, the Uxbridge School Committee reportedly will vote on an interim superintendent this evening. Last night, actually, they were supposed to vote on that. So,
Well, is this the guy's
well,
first offense?
what's that?
First offense?
Doesn't say. But I guess it's okay. Suspended with pay or without pay while the pending investigation. So.
Yeah. Well,
But
it's too bad.
But that's never good news.
Nope. So I shouldn't drink and drive.
When that takes place. And they had a fire at the ACI.
Was that last night?
Oh.
Yeah, and 4 correctional officers had to be taken to the hospital. Toxic fume inhalation. I wonder what was burning.
Plastic. Everything's plastic.
Even the bars?
Everything's plastic.
You don't get
I
that?
don't know. It just
I heard that there was an inmate that was trying to light synthetic marijuana that started
okay.
the fire.
Started when an inmate tried to light the drug K2.
Synthetic marijuana.
Is that what that is? And how do you
Not that I know
and
that.
How do you know that?
I heard it
Tim?
on the news this
I
morning.
thought that was
I heard that on the news.
that was a mountain in the Himalayas.
K2.
Tried to light the drug K2, and 2 housing units were forced to evacuate. Is this that fake paper that's laced with it?
That I couldn't tell you. All I know
right.
is that I heard that this morning.
All right. Are we going down the road again of mask requirements? Melissa, the Brown University Health says that mask requirements are being reinstated by them. They say level 2 surgical masks will be required for patients, visitors, and staff during patient care due to high community transmission rates of respiratory viruses. You think this is going to start taking place at facilities like yourself?
So we're not there. I mean, we're able to, partition off different units in our community that may have, they consider cluster cases. So anything more than 2 or 3 cases, be it staff or residents. And then we just we don't restrict visitation anymore, but we just emphasize the need to put on a mask. But it's not campus wide or anything to that effect. But we were talking about this off the air when I arrived earlier. That this is like not new practice. This happened even before COVID. So if they had like a large volume of norovirus cases or upper respiratory cases, flu, whatever, hospitals have always had this protocol. We've always had that protocol. So this is nothing new, but announcing it on the news and making
That's
it like
new.
that just seems to be standard practice now. But I think it's also making sure the public understands that if you don't need to go to the hospital, you don't need to go to the ER, don't
Right.
go.
Right.
They're loaded right now. And, I think it's very cringeworthy for those of us that work with the senior population, because just thinking about the fact that anytime someone from our community might have to go out to the hospital, they're sitting in the ER, probably not getting a bed, and in some cases on a stretcher for up to 24, 48 hours in the middle of a hallway. If you don't need to go, don't go. I think that's just the biggest emphasis. And unfortunately,
There's nothing worse than having to go on a Friday afternoon.
yep, and if
Friday
you're
night.
going in with nothing, you're probably coming out with something. And I think that's really the message of what they're trying to say is, you could go in for the most minor thing. Oh, I think I hurt my wrist or something to that effect, and I really can't wait till tomorrow. Try to wait till tomorrow if you can, because you're going to come out with,
Or go to urgent care.
or go to urgent care.
All right, I'm always been fascinated with this one because I've seen so many different people do an analysis of the value of masks, and the one thing that seems to be clear is virus is not. You're not protected from virus with a mask at all. At all. The whatever material viruses live in go through anything.
Okay.
Virtually anything, any mask. No mask is going to protect you from that. And even surgical masks, when they're doing surgery, is not to protect from viral infection. It's bacterial infection, so that they don't infect an open
Wound. Yeah.
What's
part of
worse?
the body.
Viral or
And
bacterial?
I get that, but this is seasonal viral infections. People,
viral.
flu and cold, it's generally viral. Putting a mask on is not going to stop you from transmitting viral infection to someone else. It will prevent you from spreading bacterial stuff. It will collect some of your
stuff
stuff
coming out of your
from-
mouth. Yeah.
but it won't necessarily protect you from spreading a virus. And that's why I think the better answer is stay away.
Stay away. I
If,
mean,
if you're not feeling well, just don't come.
Okay.
right. I think there's studies that would. There's a lot of studies surrounding mask use and infection control measures and proper use of PPE. And I think it depends on what you're using. If you're using just a surgical mask versus an N95, there's different methods of trying to prevent the, transmission of viruses and whether it's bacterial or a virus, I should clarify. But I will say, I think from our standpoint, it's more of a reminder. It's the hand to face. That's really where your transmission is going to come from. So if you have a mask covering your face, you're not as tempted to, or if you were to scratch your nose or you were to grab a little something from your eye, you're going to say, oh, wait a minute. You might, wash my hands first, anti-bac first, anything just to provide some additional barriers from maybe, or decreasing the percentage of possibility of transmitting that virus or the bacteria. But I have a cold right now. I asked everyone in here. I'm not going to touch you, Tim. Sorry. I asked everyone here if it was okay for me to be here. I'm not wearing a mask. I think you have to also know what are your symptoms, and if your body is not feeling feverish or achy, or you're not, if you're just a little stuffy nose or whatever, making sure that you're washing your hands, blowing your nose. But it's all out there. You can go to the grocery store. You can go to the movies right now and probably pick something up, but in a hospital, that's a vulnerable environment for people who are vulnerable. So they have to put that protocol out there and just remind people to take extra safety measures for that population.
Well, if you do visit the whatever Brown University's health situations, the mask will be given to visitors when they arrive. And here you go.
So Massachusetts isn't implementing that right now.
Not yet.
What I heard. So I wonder if the new Brown University in St. Anne's and is that the one in Fall River? The Brown University took over the two Stewart hospitals in Massachusetts. I wonder if they will implement that same protocol in Massachusetts as they did in Rhode Island.
Probably, since it's all part of this under the same
System-wide.
umbrella.
Yeah, probably.
Okay. Other news going on. Harvard University has settled the lawsuits that were filed by Jewish students who claimed that the college did not protect them from anti-Semitism. Now, it doesn't say if there's any money being changing hands here. It doesn't look like it. But Harvard has agreed to reaffirm that anti-Semitism will not be tolerated at least once a year under the settlement. Harvard is also required to invest new academic resources to study anti-Semitism. Settled lawsuits were filed by the Jewish advocacy groups on behalf of students at Harvard University. So that's all come to an end now. So, well, not the anti-Semitism has come to an end, but the lawsuit part, that part has come to an end. And I heard this yesterday. I might have, I don't know if I just missed it somewhere along the way. But Mike Tamburo has officially retired.
Is he really? Mike Gwynn retired officially.
Mike Gwynn officially retired from the Worcester Red Sox, and now Mike has officially retired from the Worcester Red Sox.
Well, he should enjoy himself for the rest.
Yep, and so that brings the end. The Pawtucket Red Sox
right?
3 regime that ran the place so well. Ben passing away, Lou passing away, and now Mike is just going to retire and enjoy the rest of his kids and his grandkids.
Yep, as he should.
And as he should. So
I will miss those guys though. When I would go up and
they'd always
we
come
would
and
have
pop in
some
and say
seats in
hi.
Worcester, and they would always come over.
Yeah.
Make it a point to come over and say hello to whoever was there from the credit union.
Yeah.
Sitting in the seats. That was very classy of them. They certainly didn't have to do that. But Mike Gwynn would drive in from the Cape, lived in Falmouth, and would drive to Worcester to go to this.
I couldn't believe he would do it.
I couldn't believe it. It was amazing to me.
He did it to Pawtucket, which is still just as long.
Right, but he would pick Mike Tamburo up.
Yes.
In his last few years, he would actually stop and get Mike, and they would drive
Must
together.
be only because he didn't have to cross the bridge.
It's Cup 24.
It's a lot different a trip if you're not crossing the bridge.
It certainly is.
Certainly is.
All right, we did get a note that was called in, and just to reiterate that the McDaniels has been rehired as the Patriots offensive coordinator.
Correct.
So yay for that. All right, Tim, time for your second message, please, now, from Navigant Credit Union.
As Melissa said, it's that time of the year where you're kind of stuck in the house in a lot of cases. And what we're seeing is a spike, of course, in fraud attempts and financial exploitation. So we're just asking everybody to be cautious about the things that they're receiving on their phones in terms of text messages and emails. And if you're getting phone calls, be skeptical. I heard my mother, in fact, my sister reported to me that my mother almost, not that she recognized that she was becoming a victim of the grandparent scam the other day when she picked up the phone, That scam is still out there, and they're trying anything. Bad guys are trying anything they can to get to separate you from your hard-earned money. So we have a great set of resources at the credit union, fantastic security team. If you have any questions, you're concerned about anything that might be happening, any calls you're getting, text messages, anything of the like, please give us a call at 233-4700. Just ask one of the contact center folks that you're going to be talking to. Say, listen, this is what's happening. Does it sound right? If it doesn't sound right, it's probably not right. So be your own advocate and use the resources that you have at your fingertips in the Navigate Credit Union ecosystem. So give us a call.
Very good. The Coffee and program will continue here on ON. We'll be right back.
If household finances are tight and you're having trouble paying the heating bills, the Good Neighbor Energy Fund may be able to provide assistance. Please contact a local CAP agency. Call United Way 211 or visit Rhode-IslandGoodNeighbor.org. Ad sponsored by the Rhode Island Broadcasters Association.
Hey, it's ON Radio's Cruisin' Bruce Palmer, and I'd love to have you join me every Saturday for the Saturday Block Party. We start at 4 o'clock when I open up the ON Music Vault for you to pick whatever you want to hear or send to somebody special. Yes, the good old radio request days are back. Join me for the Saturday Block Party, Saturdays from 4 until 7 on ON Radio and streaming online at WoonSocketRadio.com.
You can depend on us for public service. ON Radio.
Here it is, Coffee In on ON Radio. Thanks for joining us. I'm Joe Callahan. Melissa Smith is here. Tim Draper's here. And John Ward is here as well. And you guys going to the movies at all? How many times have you seen Wicked?
I've seen it once.
Yeah, I've seen it once. My kids have seen it twice each.
Wicked.
I have not seen
okay.
Wicked at the theaters yet.
How about Moana 2?
I saw Wicked at the theater.
I did not. My
but
kids
not
have both seen
You
that
must see
as
Wicked
well.
in the movie
I
theater.
did see Moana 2.
Okay. Well, it still topped, or topped the $1 billion mark
Isn't it
Really?
crazy?
at the box office. Yeah. It's Disney's third film from 2024 to reach that benchmark after Deadpool and Wolverine.
See, they fired the other guy.
And,
Wow.
and Inside Out 2.
Frozen wasn't up there? I'm shocked. I thought
Well,
Frozen was...
didn't come out in 2024.
Oh, 2024.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm sorry. I thought you were saying like in Disney's overall.
No, it's just
They had
it's
$3
the third
billion
movie this
movies
year.
in 24. Wow.
Yeah.
Talk about the proof of diversity in the market that both
Right.
Moana 2 and Deadpool would make that list.
Yeah. And you know what's funny? I would guarantee you that the same kids that I'm referencing are really teens have gone to both
Both.
Probably,
as well.
yeah.
You know, because I think
I
that's
know,
what's
I've
hysterical.
seen both. Not at the theater, but I've seen
Well,
both.
you're an older teen.
I'm excited about the new Superman coming out in July.
Are you?
Really?
Yeah, we get to see Crypto, the dog, super dog.
Oh, just
I
not
thought
a
you
big
meant the- thought you meant the
superhero.
currency.
Nah.
The new Trump cryptocurrency that just put on the market.
What a joke.
Alrighty. Let's see.
Melania too.
A man working in Plainfield, Indiana, will spend some time in federal prison. He stole allegedly $2 million worth of Fitbits from a warehouse.
Are people
Who
still
uses
wearing
Fitbits?
those?
Who uses a Fitbit?
Apparently, he doesn't know this.
Because he stole a bunch of stuff that nobody wants. That's awesome.
Well,
That is not a bright criminal.
no, okay. The U.S. Attorney's Office says Dwight Oliver worked as a facility supervisor at a warehouse in Plainfield, Indiana. He pleaded guilty to mail fraud after stealing the devices from bulk mail orders from June of 2021 to September of 2022. Oliver was sentenced to 15 months, followed by a year of supervised release. He's also ordered to pay over $1 million in restitution. I guess he thought he was going to sell them. Just,
Again,
Fitbits
who
are out?
uses Fitbits?
I don't know.
Well, there's a market for them, I guess,
Probably.
on the streets.
Well, my mother-in-law.
Thank you.
So I just remembered she wears one religiously.
No,
She
my
doesn't- she doesn't
wife
trust
has
the
the
Apple Watches.
Aura ring. She's got that ring now.
Yeah,
that they
I don't.
have.
And see, I don't trust that. I don't know what my
know.
thing is about that.
It's so
What
far
don't
my
you
wife's
trust?
pretty happy with it.
I don't know what my issue is
She's
with that.
skeptical.
My friend has one too, and I'm like, I don't know why. I'm okay with an Apple
That's-
Watch, but
yeah,
the
same-
ring just—it's the
same
same
old man.
thing. I don't know what my
Right.
issue
You
is.
know what? She can wear it. She wears hers at night when she sleeps.
Okay.
It's just much easier to wear. Like I've tried to wear my Apple Watch at night to see if I can track sleep. I'm knocking on the bed headboard and it's noisy, and I'm like, yeah, I can't.
No,
wear it. It's weird.
I started keeping my watch on just to monitor my sleep.
So when do you charge it?
Oh, I charge. Well, when I'm sitting, as soon as I sit at the computer,
Yeah.
I plug it in.
Oh, there you go.
Because I'm not walking around adding steps or
true.
doing
Have you
anything
noticed
else.
a difference in your retirement sleep versus your work sleep? Because I can imagine it's
Sometimes yes.
much more.
Sometimes yes, sometimes no. You'd be amazed at how much of my retirement sleep is spent thinking about city things. But yeah, this is
Hard to give that up, isn't it?
This is my sleep score of 79 last night. Not so
Oh.
good. That's actually pretty good for me.
79 out of what?
Because
100.
out
Is
of
it out of
100,
100?
if I open up the 7-day score, that's actually one of the higher ones. It sort of took a dip. But this is when I was sleeping on a sofa down in Virginia Beach.
Well,
That wasn't terribly comfortable.
shocking. Sofa beds are such the comforts.
So
Sleep.
it's
I
yeah.
love that
I
bar
used
in
to
the back.
Oh, the bar in the back's great.
But this thing even apparently can do an EKG on me.
You know what's funny is when I
Wow.
had my accident over the summer, they recognized that I had my Apple Watch on, and so they were trying to determine when I had blacked out at the wheel. I think people know that story. To see where the drop in my heart rate might have happened, like to confirm that that is in fact what had happened in my blacking out at the wheel. So I know, but you think to yourself like. It's kind of neat because otherwise you'd just say, well, it could have been a multitude of things, could have been a whole bunch of testing, and let's just pull up your phone and see what it tracked.
Did it give them the information they wanted?
It did. I did.
Yeah,
tremendously.
when I went for my surgical recovery, my heart surgery recovery, I was using the watch. They hadn't wanted to hook me up to something for a
Yep.
heart rate thing, and I said, no, I'll just use the watch.
Yeah. Well, it's
And they were
interesting
okay with
because
it?
you also can see like what your patterns are. Like I didn't realize I am prone to dipping often, actually. So I'm getting looked at for some other
high
stuff.
stress points.
Yep, and sleep as well. I have my watch on for some sleep weeks. But anyways, technology can be really beneficial in some
Yeah.
ways. It can't,
Can be used if it's used for good.
it can be. It can be.
All right. Who's got Netflix?
I do.
I do.
I do,
Prices are going up.
Yay.
of course.
The streamer announced Tuesday the standard plan without ads is increasing by $2.50, going to $17.99 per month.
Well, they got to pay for all those cool shows they put on.
Its ad-supported tier will go up $1 to $7.99.
Wow.
That's me.
If you have the premium tier with 4 simultaneous streams, that's going up $2 to $24.99.
Don't have that.
The price hike comes
My kids
as
tried to get that up.
as the company reported nearly 19 million new subscribers in the fourth quarter that ended on December 31st. Wow. We got all these new people, so let's charge them more money.
Yep.
Per month.
Per month, yeah. All right.
We just had the debate in my house about when my kid goes to college because I think you're allowed three access points or something like that, or 2 access points for logging in at the same time.
Might be 2.
I think it's 2.
2.
Yeah, because I don't think they want you.
Like
to
if she's allowed, she was just talking as though she was going to be having access to Netflix at school, and I was like,
No.
yeah, no, like no, your sister's still home, and your dad and I are still home, and no, get your own. But I think that's interesting. If it goes up, she certainly won't be able to afford that. No.
I have to break it to my wife that our cable bill just got adjusted because our contract year ran up, and it's time for her to do what she does so well, which is to tell them no, and go negotiate something.
Isn't it sad that you have to go through those steps? We finally let it go, not entirely cable, but like years of that, you'd have to call and complain.
I've been trying, but I can't get there with cutting the cable, and I
can't
really
either.
want to.
You
I do
can't.
too.
Oh my
I
God,
want it, but I
YouTube
can't.
TV, it's so
I
easy.
could,
but
like
it's
that.
expensive. It's the same price.
We mapped it all out. I mean, I think now with some
But
of
you can
these
be more
increases,
selective.
but
What you want, bother to watch.
but to have cable TV in addition to if you have Netflix, or which is where we were sort of at the point of with kids and everything, we said, well, if we already still have Netflix, let's let go of cable and just do YouTube TV and
Well, if you throw
Netflix and
in-
Amazon's free. And
It's not. Amazon,
Well, it's
you're
buried
paying
into
for
the-
Prime. So,
I have a husband that works in education with an education email, and you get an
okay.
education discount. Yes.
So when you consider Amazon Prime and Netflix, and then if you buy the Paramount upgrade in Amazon Prime for $5 or $6 a month, and then you pay for this or that and the other thing, it can get pretty expensive, and it really does call for an evaluation of what you're spending money on. I mean, don't get me wrong, Amazon's very convenient. And frankly, I like and I'm looking forward to Jack Reacher coming out again.
That's a good show.
The shows that I want to watch, and the shows that my wife want to watch, are not in the same bundle
Yes, you open and you
Naturally.
close.
No, that's
You
the
open and you
problem.
close, which is what you have to keep
The
track
shows,
of.
the shows my wife watching the shows I want on the same universe.
I say it all the time. I'd really like to meet your wife.
we have a couple of
Super
things we
nice.
share interest in. but
Fascinated.
Very few.
Well,
Bring your spouse to work week is next week. I would love to, and I'm sure you'd love to meet my husband. I'm sure you're curious as well. But
Absolutely.
the FDA has approved a Johnson & Johnson nasal spray to treat major depression.
oh,
Yikes.
That makes the spray called Spravato, Spravato, the first ever standalone therapy for treating major depressive disorders that fails to improve with standard drug regimens.
I haven't seen the ads on TV yet.
Not yet. Well, they just approved it. That's why. The FDA green light means Spravato, which has been used since 2019, along with an oral medication, can now be used by itself. Health experts say about a third of the 21 million U.S. adults who suffer from treatment-resistant major depression aren't getting relief from symptoms, which can include persistent sadness, insomnia, lack of energy, and suicidal ideations.
Yeah.
Okay.
is that? I'm just curious
I never
about
heard
the
of it being
nasal
nasal spray.
form. If it's just for like rapid.
It must get into your system quicker than
Rapid release.
than something you pop
That's
in
what
your
I'm
mouth.
wondering. I have a migraine med that's like that, but I just wonder if
Does it
that's
work?
the. It does. I
Yeah.
mean, terrible side effects from it for how fast it gets into your system.
I
But
shouldn't make a joke about it, but it's depressing to think that you would have to take something in the nose for depression.
Depression, I
Yes.
know.
I think we were all thinking it when he first started.
Depression,
But-
depression is real.
It is.
There's no
It
denying
is.
it.
But speaking about, you haven't seen commercials for it yet. Last night, I was
I
actually.
can't wait till they cancel. They make it
All
outlawed
right, but if you
for
pay
having these drugs on their. On
pay
TV.
attention next time, the one for Revolti,
Okay.
Rexvolti,
Rexalti.
Rexalti. Okay, and they were going
Sad
through all
that I
the, they
know
were
that.
going through all the side effects. I think this
Right.
is one is for Alzheimer's.
You think it might be?
Okay, but one of them said unusual urges. I go, that is so vague. I go, I don't know what you're talking
Urges
about.
to what?
Urges to what? Do I want to go rob a bank?
Yeah, maybe.
Do I want to go skydiving? That would be unusual urges.
I think
And so
when
I looked it up online. They still didn't list it. I'm
Yeah.
like, what's the unusual
Well,
urge?
It's maybe just a defense mechanism for your
Covers
litigation
everything?
after you killed somebody.
Covers everything.
Well, it's the drug's
I think
fault.
anytime
You have
unusual
unusual urges.
my industry colleagues would tell you, like any of the meds for dementia, like then this is not a laughing matter, so don't take this out of context. But you're never really going to know all their side effects because they don't know how to communicate their sensations or their emotions in many cases. So I don't know how you can scientifically list those things, any of them, unless it's
They listed-
physical reactions.
So
They
right, that
like
you
sudden
can,
urges.
This one listed everything:
I was
insomnia and sleeping late. It gave you both.
I've always been fascinated by those drugs. They're not so prevalent anymore. A lot of these cancer delay kind of drugs.
Yeah.
And if you read the really small print at the bottom of the screen, it said, on average, they achieved, I don't know,
0.
10 to 12 weeks of extended life
yeah.
for having taken this drug that you're going to spend thousands and thousands of dollars on. It's like 10 to 12 weeks. Is that what
Yeah.
you're buying?
Yeah. Yep.
Go work it out. It seems like if I was in that situation, I'm thinking, would I really want to spend all of that to get
Right.
maybe 10 to 12 weeks?
I know.
What kind of quality of life are you going to have during those 10 to 12 weeks?
And what kind of quality of life is it going to
It's gonna
be?
be.
Having seen some folks dying from cancer,
Yeah.
by the time you get down to 10 to 12 weeks, you are not
not good.
You're laying in a bed.
Yeah. To wrap things up, the Razzies are out. These are the awards that celebrate the worst in cinema.
Yeah.
And leading the way is a movie called Joker Folie à Deux. 7 nominations.
What is
Didn't see
that
it.
about?
The second Joker movie, yes.
Didn't see it.
It was awful.
Was it? Okay. This leads the leads of the sequel, supervillain origin story, Lady Gaga and Joaquin Phoenix were nominated as well. Phoenix won the Oscar for playing the same role in the original film. Other films up for the Razzies: Borderlands, Madam Web, Megalopolis,
Yeah, Megalopolis was a flop.
and Reagan. with
Reagan was bad?
6 nominations each.
What was it?
I actually saw
Who
that
starred in
movie.
Reagan?
Kevin, no.
It's a name.
Yeah.
So-
Why
it's
can't I
someone
think
you've
it's on the
heard
top
of.
of my head?
It is a name.
It is.
It's a name.
Who was Cousin Eddie?
Yeah, that guy.
That guy.
It's his
yeah,
brother. It's his brother.
Randy Quaid.
Or
Dennis Quaid.
Dennis Quaid.
Dennis
Dennis
Quaid.
Quaid.
yeah.
See, it's
Dennis
a name.
Quaid.
It's Dennis Quaid. Anyway, the
That was
winners.
fun, by the way, to watch.
The winners.
It's weird how we got there.
The winners of the Razzies will be unveiled on March 1st, by the way, so keep that in mind. All right, we got to run. Community Care Alliance is coming up next, so please stay around for that. Melissa Smith, thanks for coming in.
Thank you for having me. I'll see you next week.
All right, very good. Tim Draper, thanks for coming in.
Thanks, Joe. See you next week.
All right, John Ward, thanks for coming in.
Everybody go out there and enjoy the God-given day. And oh, by the way, David Lynch died. Do you know who he is?
A filmmaker.
A filmmaker.
Yeah, Twin Peaks, right?
He made Eraserhead.
Yes.
If you've never seen it, go find it. You'll wonder why I made you do that.
No. I know about it. His better movie is The Elephant Man, which I thought was great.
He did great movies.
He did. All right, stay
But
tuned.
Eraserhead was special.
All right, you're right about that. All right, now this is Joe Callahan. Have a great day, everyone, and stay tuned. Community Care Alliance up next on ON Radio.
Broadcasting live and local daily from the Navigant Credit Union broadcast studio at the corner of Park Avenue and Kennedy Street. This is WOON Woonsocket Radio. And now, the news. Mask requirements are being reinstated at Brown